We know these tariffs are disproportionately impacting people in Ontario, specifically Hamilton, Halton, and Niagara. What's the federal government's plan to protect those jobs?
Well, first of all, I'm here at the steel plant in Hamilton because we are here to protect those jobs. We did it, unfortunately, in 2018 when we had to, the first time Mr. Trump was president, and we showed that Canadian and American steelworkers work together to build a competitive product around the world. Canadian steelworkers are some of the best in the world, and that's why we're very much focused in our conversations with the White House right now on not getting these tariffs brought in. People are worried about them, but we're doing everything we can to prevent them from moving forward, because we know in 2018 when they moved forward on tariffs on Canadian steel, that cost jobs in the United States. About 75,000 fewer jobs than otherwise would have been in the case. So we know that doing things together is the right thing to do, and we're going to stay unequivocal on that.
Many people in Canada are scared right now. What specific measures is the federal government taking to protect sovereignty so we do not become the 51st state?
Well, first of all, the 51st state is simply not going to happen. That's not an issue. It is something we do have to take seriously when Donald Trump proposes that. But the best thing we can do is continue to be proud of being Canadians, stay on guard for our country, like it says in the anthem, and be there for each other. What we're seeing is Canadians stepping up to buy Canadian, to be there for their neighbors, to support great steelworkers like we have here, to support Canadian industries. That's one of the strongest things we can do, is understand that whatever challenges come by, Canadians pull together and are incredibly proud to be Canadian.
Securing the border is part of the plan to curb tariffs. As a border community, what kind of extra security measures will we see in Niagara?
Well, we've talked about a $1.3 billion border plan that involves more drones, more helicopters. We've just appointed a fentanyl czar, a former RCMP officer, who is going to focus on that particular angle, because we know the Americans are very worried about illegal fentanyl in their country. Now, we have the same kinds of tragedies in Canada. We have a fentanyl problem in Canada. It's a problem we should be solving together, because Canada is actually responsible for less than 1% of all the illegal fentanyl that goes into the United States. So we're not the source of the problem, but we are also trying to solve the problem. We're going to show the metrics over the coming weeks that respond to this concern, and we're going to do things together.
Are there any specific changes that we may see in Niagara?
We've added more personnel to the borders. We're adding more equipment, more drones. There are changes all along the Canadian border.
If the tariffs hit in March as planned, how quickly can we see government relief package roll out for Canadian workers and businesses? Well,
like I said, our first plan is to prevent these tariffs from coming at all, because they're not just going to hurt Canadians, but they'll hurt American workers as well. We know the American administration doesn't want to hurt American workers, so we're going to make the case that there should be no tariffs. If ever tariffs do come on, we will have an immediate, strong response to show Americans that we are there to stand up and to fight for Canada. At the same time, if these tariffs do continue and we start seeing challenges around jobs or families hurting, we will be there to support people. That's what we've done before. That's who Canadians are. We have each other's back. We're in a difficult time right now, but we will be there for each other like we always are.
What kind of support can Canadians expect in that case?
Well, it really depends on what they actually move forward with. We've seen from President Trump that there's a number of different mechanisms and intentions that could lead to tariffs until we know what he actually moves forward with. I mean, the fact is, anything he moves forward on would hurt Americans. So that, first and foremost, gives us a great argument to prevent them or to convince them not to move forward with tariffs at all. But if they do move forward, we will both respond strongly, but also be there to support Canadians who are affected, however they are affected.
You flew down to Mar-a-Lago and spoke to Trump personally. You've worked with him for 4 years prior. Do you have plans in place to go to Washington and discuss the tariffs one-on-one with the president?
We've had lots of conversations with his team. I've spoken with him directly. We're working with the business community in the United States with a very simple goal and focus, which is prevent tariffs from coming on Canada. This is a time where Canada and the United States can and should be working together, as we have for decades, to our mutual benefit as we take on what is a more challenging world. The global disruptions we have, whether it's conflicts, whether it's rise of non-market economies with negative trade practices, we should be leaning on each other as we have during the darkest moments of our history to take on the world. And that's the argument that we continue to make and that I will continue to make directly with Donald.
Do you plan to go see him in Washington in the next few weeks?
I'm going to continue to do the things that are necessary, talk to him as much as necessary, and we'll see what's on deck.
What is President Donald Trump's end game here?
He wants a win for the United States, but Canada is well positioned to give that win to the United States, because a win-win is what our economies have all been about. When Canada does well and the United States does well, we do great in terms of competition with the world. So being able to both demonstrate that Canada is not the problem, but the solution is at the heart of what we're doing.
Circling back to the federal government's plan to protect these jobs in Canada, specifically Hamilton, Halton, and Niagara, any steps that you guys are specifically taking for this?
Well, like I said, the biggest thing we can do is prevent tariffs from coming on, and if they do happen, to respond extremely strongly so that they get taken off as quickly as possible. Nobody wants to see the impact of these tariffs over weeks or months. That's why we're going to do everything we can to prevent them from coming and to respond strongly if they do come. But of course, if they do come, we will be there as appropriate to support Canadians, because that's what this government does, but that's what Canadians do for each other.
Thank you so much for giving us the time to speak to you today.
Real pleasure to be here with you today.